strong is yours, you know. The medium and opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Democracy in Spice Isles is alive and well. Ask you questions, sing and beat you drum. Make you suggestions, encourage them on to walk the straight and narrow in the land. Politics, religion and economic issue, regional, international, spiritual issues too. Agricultural, environmental and trending to subject matter. We fear none, we back down. Freedom of speech is enshrined in the land. God, we freedom, jealous and they in Cuba, Russians and Chinese and lucky like we. Right now North Korea, wish they had it too. Most of
We encourage you to join us as soon as we start this program. Welcome, welcome our brothers, welcome our sisters, welcome to our program today. This part of the program on Saturday is pure politics. We encourage you to join us. We welcome and highly appreciate your participation. We provoke discussion on this program. We provoke discussion. You know, you are with the Studio Galaxy, and that is the Galaxy Equalizers. And the number to call is 536-2558. And we welcome your contributions. We will look every now and then at our device. And if you share comments, we will call them out. The topic today is, when will we realize that we should never spend tomorrow money today? We should never spend tomorrow money today. I am concerned, and I've been concerned for a very, very long time, that Grenadians, too much of our people, are spending tomorrow money today. And perhaps I will deal with that topic under three categories. One, the home. I'll speak about the home. Two, I'll speak about intelligent people, people from academia, people who have left the home and they did not know. But because of their sojourn in institutes of higher learning, they ought to know that if you are a people that's spending tomorrow morning today, the future is in trouble. It means that you are selling your children's future. You are making debts for your children to pay. And the third aspect of it, I'll go to governments and speak about when a government prepared to spend tomorrow morning today, the government is bankrupting its people. I look at the Caribbean and I look at Africa, and I'm convinced that they are spending tomorrow morning today. I speak to provoke discussion. I don't have answers. When I have an issue and I'm concerned, I express it. You could always dismiss what I say with impunity if there is no merit in it. But if you believe there is any merit in it, you should pay heed to it. So I go back to the home. Why do we spend tomorrow money today? Many years ago, a couple decades ago, I realized as I grew older, the rich people in my community was disappearing. When I was a very young boy, before 20 years, if you ask me who were the rich people in my community, I could have easily called 15 or 20 people names. What I meant of rich then, one might say was, relative. People with discretionary income. I come from a community where we had some serious farmers. One man in the community employed 70 people on a regular basis. He said was 69. But he never checked his children. And he never checked himself. And he never checked his wives. His wife. He had some kept miss too. He never checked. That's why I say 70. It's 70 plus. Another of the bigger farmer employed about 50 persons. And then we had several other farmers that employ between 10 and 30 people. None of these farmers' girl children. It was not necessary for them to have a job. The parents mind them. I like that word. The parents mind them. So you would have a girl 20, 30 years living with the parents, never make a day work for money. The parents mind them. Well, the boys was more involved. They would go to the land, not as a regular worker, but as a driver of vehicles. And they drove to the port and etc. But the farmers never checked them as workers. Because they saw them as their children, they was mining. Imagine at that time, a farmer having 15 working vehicles in his yard. 3 of them was trucks, rovers and cars. And in that village, you had about 8 or 9 trucks owned by farmers. 1 or 2 bus. Truck that they used to turn to bus conveniently when it was not banana day. But after a couple decades, I asked myself, where did this wealth disappear to? And I realized people were spending tomorrow's money today. The middle class in Grenada has shrunken significantly. Government is the biggest employer in the country. The CSA, Civil Service Association, then perhaps had about 300 persons, 400 persons. Now they have thousands of people. Then we have government have to employ and maintain serious social programs. Today in Grenada, perhaps we have the most security in the world. I wouldn't surprise. The most security in the world. We have 52 schools in Grenada. The last time I checked was a couple decades ago. And each school has security 24 hours a day. And the schools have caretakers and cooks and cleaners and coaches. And yet still, the schools are unproductive. If these schools was in the hand of the private sector, they would close them down. Now, which businessman continue to maintain a project that is operating at 20 or 30%? Only government that do that. So you are facing the hardcore reality that your country is living above the means. Your country is spending tomorrow's money today. Where did all these rich farmers disappear to? They disappear. The trucks are gone. The rovers are gone. The vehicles that people own now are liabilities. They do not contribute to the economic development of the people. You don't have to believe me. You have one among the poor people with a lot of vehicles, and the vehicles does not contribute in any way to the economic development, except to make them fat, because they no longer have to exercise. So they get big and fat and unhealthy. And the vehicles are liabilities because they does not produce anything. Not 1 cent is brought to the owner of the vehicle. That individual feel compelled, socially compelled, to have a vehicle. They want to be like the Joneses. The Jones have a vehicle, so they want a vehicle. Some of them struggling to buy gas. And in 5 years, based upon the statistician and the economists and the insurance company, they normally devalue your vehicle, I think, at the rate of 10%. So in 5-7 years, that vehicle would worth maybe 20 or 30% of what you pay for it. And the cost to maintain the vehicle would increase significantly. And your economic situation would dwindle. Now in Grenada today, the majority of people who have children to school been to secondary school. I want to emphasize that point. The majority of people who have children in school, they went to secondary school. So in comparison with yesteryear, our parents ought to be better educated, more economically wise than the parents of yesteryear. But how come In this present era, more people spend tomorrow's money today. I said government is the biggest employer. But you could put the big companies like Hubbard's, Huggins, Coates, the hotels, in the same realm with government. The income that they obtain is similar on the average to a government employee. And I want to advance the view that when these people retire, they will be the new poor on the block. Discretionary income would significantly diminish. If inflation takes place seriously in our country, or the value of the EC drop, these people would be the destitute poor. We must not believe it cannot happen to us. The Jamaica dollar in 1962, I believe, I'm not absolutely certain on that, was as high or higher than the US dollar. The peso was also around the US dollar. Today, the Jamaica dollar has seriously reduced. In 1974-75, one Guyanese dollar was worth $1.05 EC. So it was just about 10 cents above. And soon after that, one Guyanese dollar is almost 100 EC. Trinidad used to call $100 1 cent. The Grenadians in Trinidad used to say a 1 cent. What's wrong with the black man? We must look in the mirror and start to ask ourselves question. What is wrong with the black man? Because when I look at the African countries, I'm not encouraged. And I feel bound and compelled to speak in Grenada and ask myself, what is wrong with us? And it seems the more certificate we have is more lackadaisical and incompetent that we become where money management and economic development are concerned. Let me repeat that. Because remember, I'm just an ordinary rustic of nondescript breed. It appears, it doeth appear, that the more amount of higher learning we have, we become more lackadaisical and incompetent where economic management and development is concerned. I've said on many occasions in different programs, and I compare it with the police force in Grenada. We have a very good police force when we compare it with the rest of the Caribbean. Very good. Although you have a good police force, you have special branch. You have CID. You have immigration. You have the SSU. And you have the rapid response force. Within the police force, people get better training to deal with specific situations. So when I speak I believe those who have had the opportunity to go to university, an institute of higher learning, are considered our special service. And they should be in the forefront of the economic development and management and investment. We have teachers in the school that teach our children. And the parents of the children in school, the teachers taught them. So our homes should be better cultured to understand that you cannot spend, you should not spend, you ought not to spend tomorrow money today. What do we mean by that? If you walk in and you are spending money on luxurious items that you cannot afford, then you're spending tomorrow money today. If you're crediting more than 20% of what you're working for on consumer good, you're in trouble. I have to repeat that to you. If you're spending more than 20% of what you're working for on a consumer item, it is not for productive use. You're in trouble. You have clothes that is not for production. That clothes to lime. That clothes to go nowhere. You have good, expensive clothes. You can't go nowhere with it. You can't go in the courthouse with it. You can't go in church with it. You can't go in a funeral with it. You can't go in decent people party with it. That is a consumer item. That item is to consume and dispose. One wash. So you cannot afford to spend more than 20% of what you're working for on goods, consumer goods, that is not productive. It is not for production. It is not for you to make more money. We're supposed to be telling our children that the money that comes in their hand, they must invest a portion of that money. No one in this country should have a culture that they have to work from paycheck to paycheck. What do I mean by that? So let us suppose you're working by the month and you're working for $1,000 a month. You must save 10% of that money. 10% of that money must go in saving. 10% of that money must go in investment. You must plan what you're going to do with your money before you get the money. Because if you don't plan what you're going to do with the money, how you going to distribute your money, how you going to break up your money, how you going to share your money, and you get the money, you might forget and say, thank God it's Friday. And when Monday morning comes, you don't have money. If you're saving 10% of the money you have, after you would have worked and received 30 payments, you're supposed to have 3 months' money saved. So let us suppose you lose your job. You don't have to panic. Because you have 3 months' money saved, and you could even go to the beach for 2 days and relax. And if you cannot get back a job, Within 3 months, something wrong with you. You was a poor worker. You was a bad worker. You didn't good. Is this discussion taking place in the house? Does those people who work and have children understand that? I see some children with brand name boots, clothes, shoes. I was shocked. Somebody asked, what is the price of that shoe in my present? And when I hear the cost of the shoe, I cry. I cry. Poor people, children, with expensive shoes going to school. They cannot sustain it. So I asked the question, why are we spending tomorrow's money today? What's about discretionary income? What's about savings and investment? Is this discussion taking place in the house? Does parents have any discussion with their children in the house about managing money? What age you supposed to start that discussion? It's an important thing. What age you supposed to start the discussion of your children managing money? I don't know. The last time I speak to somebody, they tell me when the child are 18 years. I spoke to another person, they say when the child are 10 years. I asked another person, he said anytime you feel comfortable to give a child money to go and spend it, even if you telling them what to buy, that is the correct time to start the discussion on management. So we say 4 years. When your child have 5 years, you're supposed to already start discussing the management of money with your child. Every money that comes in that child's hand should be divided in 2 or 3 categories. One of it must be saving. If the child gets $1, you must find out from that child you cannot spend all that $1. Every money that comes in the child's hand. Our people is weak, lackadaisical, incompetent, and mediocrity is the order of the day where management of money and economic development is. Where are we going? Some people say from rags to riches to rags. I could agree with that. Because I said to you, when I was younger, I could have called 15, 20 people in my agricultural community that I consider that was rich. And today, when I look around, I cannot find rich people in my community. So they have disappeared. The old parents who I thought was rich, they gotten incapacitated. Most of them dead. Whatever little wealth they had was shared between the children. And whatever business they had grind down to zero. In Israel, they have some cooperatives. Some farmers, they could only leave the land for one child. It's a kind of communist that exists in the free market in Israel. Israel is the only country around the Middle East that have a free market and democracy. And they have election. All the other countries, dictatorship. But they could only leave the property for one child. So even though they have 20 children, only one child they could leave the property for. That is the agreement that they have. And if you intend to sell the property, the committee meets and determines whether somebody within that circle of farmers will buy the property, or who you're selling it for have to agree with the terms and realities of that situation. The purpose of it is land is limited, and they don't want the fragmentation of the land. They have to be smart and wise. In Grenada, we're not very wise. So eventually, we have to get a ruler to share land. If a man have 10 acres of land and he have 15 children, he share the 10 acres of land, give the 15 children. And if the 15 children have 1 or 2 child, because in these modern days, they don't make much children. So eventually, quarter of an acre land a child getting. So it's difficult for economy of scale, for economics. For a child that don't like agriculture already, you give him quarter of an acre land, it's like a burden you put on his shoulder. What's wrong with our people? You know, I'm practically forced to ask what's wrong with the black man. But I won't ask that. Why is it we, the family members, are spending tomorrow morning, today? We have vehicles that the young man or the young woman purchase a transport, and you could bet your bottom dollar they'll be worse off in 10 years because they bought a car. And to compound stupidity with economic lackadaisicalness, sometimes you have a couple, a man and his wife in the home, or the spouse, because these days, man hardly married in woman hardly want to get married. So they stay inside the house. And we are amending the law to make it that you don't want to marry to get what the man have, or to get what the woman have. And none of all it or nothing. One amount of poor people with economic stupidity tie up the head and the brain. Both of them have a vehicle. Both of them might be doing jobs where traveling is not necessary. So they are not compensated for having a vehicle. There are some jobs in Grenada, you are compensated for having a vehicle. Take an extension officer, the veterinary officer, public health officers, officers in inland revenue that go out and collect money. Well, them politicians is a free all now. They greedy and they gallivanting and getting money, but they're not wiser. So the transport you have, maintenance and operation come directly from the income that you have. After 10 years, either these people break up, they don't, or they worse off economically. Then we have some people that build a big house. The home, man and the woman, they build a big house. And both of them want a car. No, they want the car. Not 10 years from now. No. Both of them want a car. And they have a big house. And eventually the economic burden start to affect the romantic life. Because they're broken. The fridge in the house, they can't even pay to put ice in it. They're too broken. Sometimes they unplug the fridge and they open the door for it not to spoil. And when they study the car, and the man watch the woman, and the woman watch the man, and he can't buy gas, the woman is not looking good again. She don't find her attractive. And the woman the same thing. Every time she watch the man, she wondering how she could have end up with a man like that. They have a big house. They have 2 cars. And they're broken. So this economic reality affected the economic situation so much, the domestic, the life, the romantic life is destroyed. Then what's wrong with all these people? So we're branching off now to intelligent people. We move from the home. When you see intelligent people who have gone to university, who have tell you that they have economic management and they have psychology, some of them have master's degree. No sense. But they are not cultured. They are not educated. They're very lackadaisical and incompetent and mediocre for the least. In a best situation, they're mediocre. So they don't have income-generating businesses. Some of them have one job. The money they get from the job is to compete with one another. They're not complementing one another and have economic investment. I said to a woman recently, she looking nice, man. She looking real good. She like a sapodilla that ripe in the shade. But she and she man a real problem. She told me it's because she making more money than the man. And I and her argued for a while that she's not making more money than the man. More money comes through her hand than the man. But it's not the amount of money that come in your pocket. It's what you do with the money that come in your pocket. I want to spend some time on that. It is not the amount of money that comes in your pocket. It's what you do with the money that comes in your pocket. There are some people who tell you, if your wallet is crying, your future is crying. So let us suppose the woman is working for $5,000 a month in Grenada. That is a relatively good salary in Grenada. $5,000 a month, you have to be a senior teacher, a senior public officer, a senior policeman, a senior person in one of the big companies, like Huggins or Hubbards or Coates, etc. You have to be senior in that senior top grouping to get in $5,000 a month. And let's suppose your man is a farmer, a bus driver, a bus conductor, a fisherman, involved in construction as a helper. He is getting $2,000 a month. Or let's say between $2,000 or $3,000 a month. And you getting $5,000. Generally, the man have more money than you. You know, the man have more money than you. Both of all your income is about $7,000-8,000 in the house. But because none of you all don't have economic sense, All you lackadaisical about management and investment. You all operating independently. The man who making $2,500, $3,000 a month could afford to pay the electricity bill and pay the water bill. And that man would have more money than the woman who making $5,000 a month. Because it's not the amount of money that comes, that you have, that come in your pocket, but what you do with the money in your pocket. A woman generally spends more money to live than a man. And I'm not talking about a little pussified male or a domesticated male. I'm talking about a good alpha male. The man would not, you will buy more shoes than the man. You will buy more clothes than the man. You will buy more confectionaries than the man. You need more things to make yourself looking good than the man. You go to doctor more than the man. And generally, most women with that amount of money, they want a car. So the man is already paying the bills in the house, the electricity bill and the water bill. The woman would not cook. And if she have a good man, then he said, thank God, he don't want food. So at the end of the day, by the time that woman ready to retire, she broken. The man have more discretionary income than her because he's operating less operating costs. And if he is a good alpha male, he is going to be interested in investment. Sometimes he don't even buy a soap, he bedding with the soap. He bedding with the breezy sea. He bedding with the washing soap. A lot of these men say the best soap to bed with is blue soap. You go take a spray and you spray now and then. When you're ready. So it's not the amount of money that comes in your pocket. It's what you do with the money that comes in your pocket. Now, how come we have all these intelligent, bright people with one amount of certificate that does not understand that you have to invest and you have to make money work for you? So you must have assets. And you must teach your children very early that they have to invest and they can't live above their means. And it makes no sense buying a car if you can maintain it. Better you buy a bike. And it makes no sense buying a bike if you can maintain it. Better you buy a motorcycle. Or better you take the bus. What's wrong with us as a people? Where is our economic realities? We have not invented anything. We don't discover nothing. We are not producing anything. And our best brains are not helpful. You don't have to believe what I say. Look around in your community and watch. Open your eye and see. Our community economic realities is sad. And it appears more we bright, more we economically stupid. Our intelligentsia is supposed to lead us, supposed to encourage us, supposed to help to raise the bar on the block and change the dynamics. When we going to understand That is not the amount of money that come in your pocket, but what you do with the money that come in your pocket. When we're going to understand that if your wallet is crying, your future is crying more. When we're going to understand that if we don't have money to buy luxurious goods, stay with what is basic and necessary. When we're going to understand that our portion of our income, we must invest it. The financial institution has not helped us. We're branching off now. We go into governments. The financial institutions have not helped us. Well, nobody expected the bank to help you. The banks are generally multinational corporations set up the banks, and their intention was not to help you but to get money from you. The susu, people started susu. That was where you get interest-free loan. 9-10 people in a particular locality and workplace was taking their money and give it to one person. So if you have 10, 12 person and it was giving $10, that is how these things start, $10 or less. So every fortnight, 10 person give $10 to one person. So that one person might take the $10 and buy a pig, $100 and buy a pig. And next week, the 10 person give the $10 to another person. And they might buy some galvanized. And next month, the 10 person give the $10 to another person. They might buy a cow. And as they continue, they were able to invest money to make more. We branch off to the credit unions. And for one part in time, the credit unions was answering the call. But now the credit unions is like the bank. They're shuffling the members. They're tricking the members. They're deceiving the members. Now the credit union have assets the members don't own. And the credit union is making it extremely difficult for the members to benefit from the credit union. About 70 to 60% of the small business that start fall up, bust, destroy within 3 to 5 years. Let me repeat that. About 60% of the new businesses that start, whether the bank or the credit union give out these loans, those businesses run aground. They fail within 5 years. But the credit union don't bother. The banks don't worry. Because these businesses are insured. So the financial institution is protected. And based upon the policy of these financial institutions, generally, they don't care if you succeed. I don't want to say they don't want you to succeed. I don't think that would be correct. They don't care if you succeed. Because generally, they don't lose if you succeed. But if 60% of the business that you provide money for failing, you ought to concern. And you're supposed to brainstorm and come up with measures to prevent them from failing. If 10, 15% is failing, that failure could be absorbed in economic development. But if 60% is failing, that failure cannot be absorbed. I think it's a Trinidadian calypso that says 70 can go in 13. That is when a 70-year-old want to marry a 13. So I always ask the question, because one would advance the view that the leaders of our financial institutions ought to know better. And it will be difficult, it's very difficult for me to accept the fact that they don't know better. So I think it's the culture, or that culture in the black man, that is not interested in his black brother succeeding. Because these individuals at the helm of the financial institutions and the credit union ought to know better. But they don't care. You already meet a people that don't have a history, don't have a culture, is not part of their DNA to be wise where economic development and investment is concerned. Watch the whole of Africa and look at the Caribbean. And then we end up with the government. How could you blame the government? How in God's name could you blame the leaders at the end? Well, one will advance the view that because they are the helm, they ought to know better. They promise the people they will do better. They have the opportunity to watch models all over the world and get the best advice to help our people. But I go back to something to tell you. The black man's greatest enemy is the black man. The black man's greatest enemy is the black man. And the black man convinces himself he is a victim. He sensationalizes and romanticizes victim. He feels good when he is a victim. And he is genuinely not making effort to do better. And we take them and we put them as leaders of our country. They don't have a track record of success. They don't have a track record of discipline. They are not advocating investment. They spend tomorrow's money today. They preoccupy with the money that comes in the pocket, not what they do with the money that comes in the pocket. Their wallet is crying. And we expect them to develop country. That's asking too much. I don't know if it's because it's our children, because they are our children. Those that are not our children is our neighbor or friend children that are the helm. They spend tomorrow's money today. They bury our children in debt and they squander the economic future of our children. You don't have to believe me now. Go and watch Africa. Tell me which country in Africa that is not doing that. Look at the Caribbean. And look at Grenada in particular. Every now and then, some people make a little try. And then we support the destruction of the effort that we should not spend tomorrow money today. Lord, when we go change? When will we make a difference? When will we be strong enough to get our governments to understand that you have to invest in the productive sector of the economy, that you have to encourage to culture educators and our people to have investment and don't live above their means? When you watch our leaders today, in particular in Grenada, squander the energy and the efforts and the aspiration and the dreams of our people, when I watch this present government in Grenada, they beat all cockfight. And in Tonglong, a couple decades. And when I watch this government, and I watch the amount of people that encouraging the government to squander the energy, the efforts, the dreams, the aspiration, and the public purse of our people, it's difficult for us not to be pessimistic and believe there is no hope, and to believe there is hope. Difficult. It would take decades, perhaps, to change the psychic of our people, that you cannot spend tomorrow money today, because your children will have to pay the debt. And then we come back and we playing victims. We purposefully, we willingly squander efforts and energy to live gala lives and luxurious life on what does not belong to us. It doesn't belong to us. Tomorrow money is not yours. And while you are doing that, you did not invest for tomorrow. The money was not spent with the intention of making more. How could you do that to your people? I asked the question repeatedly. How could your people let you do that to them? And I come to the conclusion that we don't have the culture. You see, most of the Africans were hunters. They went out in the field today and they eat whatever they consume, whatever they held. They didn't have much storage facilities. By the time they reached 40, 50, most of them died. It was difficult for them to take care of the sick and the elderly. They never build for tomorrow. I don't know if that is part of our DNA, but we watch other nations build for tomorrow. What is it? Why? Why can't we look at success stories and follow? Why can't we encourage our children? You see, some of the parents made an effort. But as I say, by the time they became incapacitated, the effort they made was squandered by the next generation. I appeal to our people. Let's discuss the issue. That's all I ask. Maybe it may take 500 years for us to come to the reality that you cannot spend tomorrow morning today. You shouldn't, you ought not to, because you're selling your children's future. In today's dynamics, we convince ourselves that we ought not to be very productive. We convince ourselves we ought not to be very productive. We become very selfish, self-centered, individuals, and we don't care about tomorrow. It saddens my heart. So I appeal to my brothers and sisters in Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean. Let's discuss the issue. That's all I'm saying. If you feel there is any merit in the message, let's discuss it. Examine ourselves and see if we are doing that. Are we in a better position than yesteryear? In the next 10, 20 years, based upon what we are doing now, will we be in a better economic position? What do you have that is making more? What investment you have that likely in the next 10 years you'll be in a better economic position? I plead with you. Ask yourself the question. Go on the wall and watch the mirror. I always say to people, never lie to yourself. Perhaps we could start the process by never lying to ourselves. Ask, mirror, mirror on the wall, what is it that I have that could make more? What? Could money work for you? Some people who are employed, self-employed, ask the question, if I have to lie down in the hospital for 6 months, do I have any income generating project? We need to do that. And if we like with children, we need to start discussing money management with them. I always encourage you to share our program. Subscribe to it, share it. Let local content grow. And I speak not because I have answers. I'm concerned and I want us to discuss the issue, to provoke discussion. Thank you very much, and thank you to participate in our program today. You know you are always welcome, and your contribution is highly appreciated. Thank you.
Make you suggestions, encourage them on to walk the straight and narrow in the land. Politics, religion, and see comic issue. Regional